and sisters. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Welcome to My King Thoughts. This is my first video of the year. Took some time. I had a nice long vacation just to get my thoughts together, just to pray to God and spend time with Him to just ask for my assignment and the direction He wants me to go in 2023. I've had a wonderful 2022, not without any scars and bruises and trials, but I came out a better individual than I was going into 2022, and I want to thank God for that. And so I want to read out of Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 through 8, and I want to read the American Standard Version of this. For everything there's a season, for a time for every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what you have planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather together stones, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. That means everything matters. It's all part of God's grand design. Everything matters. Everything that we go through, every process. I mean, when you think about the way plants are grown, the way babies are made, the way animals hunt, and the way the birds eat, and the way everything has a plan. Everything. There's a purpose for everything. And the use of this phrase "under the heavens" instead of "under the sun" is subjective of divine perspective. It's divine perspective. It's God. God has a plan for everything. Things may appear vigorous in our limited perspective because we don't know God. We're not God. Although we try so hard to want to be God and want to act like God and want to think like God and predict like God and do God-like things, but we're not God. And so God has a perfect order for what He wants, His plan. God's plan for our life involves a variety of experiences and activities. I mean, you should know. Sometimes there's weeks of laughter, there's months of laughter. Then there's heartache and pain or confusion, and just you sometimes you don't know if you're going to drown or not. But that's all part of God's plan. Construction is in this good time, but there's also deconstruction is necessary as well. In Ecclesiastes 3, it talks about that. And in a key passage is found a few verses later. He made everything beautiful in its time in Ecclesiastes 3, verses 11. At the proper activity at the right time, bringing about God's purpose is a beautiful part of God's overall plan. Listen, I understand, I know what you're going through right now is painful. You're going through that relationship breakup and it just doesn't feel right, but there's a purpose behind it. Your marriage right now is not going the way you planned it to go, but there's a purpose behind it to help you grow. I understand that your job right now is just everything's coming at you and there's so much demanded upon you, and there's even people there that's hating on you because of where you are. There's a purpose behind it. And that purpose could be that you walk as the light on this earth. That could be that you turn the other cheek and not engage in those individuals because that's what they want. Because you've probably already walked around as a believer and they know that you're a believer. Satan knows that you're a believer. And anything Satan can do to knock you off your horse, he will. This is why God has given us all these seasons to go through to let us know when there's a storm happening, eventually the storm will end and the sun will come out. When you feel like you're like the water is rising up and you think you're going to drown, God is telling you that eventually the storm will stop and the water will descend. And so we have to understand that there's a reason for what you're going through. There's a reason for why you have to go through it. I can't really sit here and tell you what your reasonings are, but I can tell you that when I went through things that in my life, I at the time it didn't feel good, but I understand the reasons behind it. And so even if you're going through a breakup or divorce, and and God is trying to work in you to be the better individual, He can't change the other person. God's purpose for your marriage could be for you to be a better husband or a spouse. But maybe it's not with the individual that decide to walk out on you. Maybe God is looking at, maybe God has pulled this person out of your life because the purpose that He had for your relationship and marriage, Satan intervened. Satan will do that. Satan loves to come and disrupt us and takes us and derails us because we do have free will. So you have to understand that when God is bringing you through these seasons, it's to stay straight on the Damascus road, stay straight in the valley of shadow and death. Don't go anywhere else, because what happens is Satan wants you to take a shortcut somewhere else, and that will derail your purpose. But there's a reason and season for everything under the sun. I know a lot of people don't like that. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that sounds so Christian-y and so religious. But just think about it. You've been through pain before. You've been through heartache before. Then you get through it. So that tells me there that you can get through this as well. You can get through this painful situation or storm that you're facing. 2023 is going to be a better year for you if you change your perspective on how you look at your trials and tribulations, because someone else does have it worse than you, and it could be worse for you. But if you do not understand that yet, then your trial is going to get worse and worse and worse, and then you're going to become depressed. You're going to become angry at God for no reason. God is waiting on you to change the perspective of how you see the season that you're in. We cannot stay in a season for long. Fall doesn't last forever. And even in some of the most sunniest, hottest countries and states that really have small winters, it don't always stay warm there. It don't always stay hot. It don't always stay cold. There's always season that things have to change for a reason. Fall, the trees go through it, the grass go through it, the plants go through it. Spring, everything has a reason and a season to grow. And so right now we're in winter. So a lot of stuff that we're planting, we're not going to see any fruit from it right now. But if we plant and we sow the right seeds, when it's time to reap in the springtime, it's going to be beautiful. Just imagine in April, March and April, the seeds that you've planted in these winter months and the trials that you're going through because of Christmas and Thanksgiving and loneliness and breakups and all the things that you're going through right now. Just imagine when March, April, May get here, the wonderful harvest that you're able to enjoy, because you planted some seeds and you sowed them well, and you made sure you nurtured them and you watered them, and you will reap what you sow. Whatever seed you plant, if it's negativity, you get negativity. If it's bitterness, you get bitterness. If it's unforgiveness, you get unforgiveness. But if it's love, you get love. In this season for me, I'm reaping nothing but love and forgiveness. I think you should too. Please like and share and subscribe to this video. I don't do a lot of editing. I just let the Holy Spirit guide me. And I appreciate you guys' support. 2022, the channel is growing a little bit, but I'm grateful for what it is growing. Have any feedback, want to get in contact with me, have any questions, need prayer, email me at mykingthoughts@gmail.com. And keep praising the Lord in 2023.